test on one day. India, England, Australia. The poor unlucky big three-side slayer. What a player! What a player! What a player!
Hello and welcome back to another edition of Waadaplaya Concussion Sub-Series. We got Sanjay today along with Suman. This is Suman. Pretty fascinating topic today on cricket. In 80s and 90s, if you look at technology, the focus was always on broadcasting and enhancing the experience of viewers. And in early 1990s is when the third umpire concept was introduced to look at stumpings and runouts. And today, if you fast forward, there are matchups, spider cams, hotspot, ball tracking, snickometers, and variety of forward-looking technology into the game, which takes the experience of users to next level. Now, when we look at who is joining us today, we have a couple of special guests from a firm called Spektacom. Their vision is to revolutionize sporting experience and creating an ecosystem that engages fans, coaches, broadcasters, budding players, and look at revolutionizing the performance analysis system. So let's please welcome Sooryanarayanan Balasubramanian and Abhishek Binaykia. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Aman. Glad to be here.
Excellent. So Surya is a senior marketing manager, and then Abhishek is chief product officer. So let's jump into what is Spektacom all about. So starting with first question, which we have for both of you. In America, data is quite revolutionized, and at a stage, especially for baseball, where recruitment, performance, etc., is quite at a different level. So how is the data market in cricket looking like? And why is it important for cricket players to use data to become professionals or play at an highest level? Give us some thoughts around it.
Yeah, sure. So, see, cricket, if you look at the innovation in cricket over the last decade or so, and especially when it comes to broadcast, it's only been camera-based, right? So, DRS, Hawkeye, those are the recent ones that sort of come to mind, and those are primarily camera-based technologies. There's really been nothing in terms of any sensors being on the equipment that the players use, right? So all the analytics, all the research that's been done has been based on recorded videos, and then the coach sitting with the players and analyzing after looking at the recorded sessions as to how they've played and what the weaknesses are and where they can improve. And what we do now at Spektacom with the sensor now on the actual cricket bat and the equipment that the players are going to use, you get a lot more objectivity in terms of, which will then obviously help you in terms of your analysis. Parameters like bat swing, bat speed, impact, how much, what your launch angle was, especially now with the game sort of veering more towards power hitting, given the advent of T20 and the shorter forms. These metrics become very important, right? We always hear commentators say, hey, he's got great power. Andre Russell's got great power, and Dravid's timing was fantastic. Now you can actually quantify that. You can look at data coming out of their bats and say, oh yeah, okay, look, he's hit that with a bat speed of 80 kilometers an hour, bang on the sweet spot, right? And that tells you something, and it helps you profile one player vis-a-vis another player. So I think that's going to be a lot of useful information coming in for budding players. It's not just for professionals, but any academy, any up and coming young kid who's interested in fine tuning their game, getting the technical aspects of their game in order. I think technologies like these are going to be very useful, right? And we are seeing adoption fairly. It's in its nascent stage, but still, in the exposure we've had in the market so far, there certainly is. There's been a very positive response, and people want that kind of information to use and then improve their games.
Yeah. So just take us back, Abhishek or Surya, how Spektacom was formed. I know Anil Kumble, the legendary Anil Kumble, is a key part of Spektacom. How did the idea come about? Why it was formed? Like, just take us back to the initial stages of.
Yeah, Spektacom started back in early 2019. So Anil wanted to introduce science into the art of batting. Right, as I mentioned, there really wasn't objective data available in terms of how the batsmen played, in terms of data on their technique or shots. And I think incorporating science into the art of batting was the key driver behind him starting the company. Almost 3 years back now. So that was the gist. And what better than to put an unobtrusive 10-gram sensor on the back of a bat and capture all this data. So that's how it all began. There's obviously as a company we've got other plans to take this technology into complementary sports. Where technology like this could be leveraged. So that's certainly on the roadmap. But obviously, cricket being his sport was sort of the first sport that we focused on, and then we've created this product which is now in its second generation. So we've got patents for broadcast. We've taken first company in the world to take this live broadcast in the Tamil Nadu Premier League in 2019 with Star Sports. It was used in the IPL, last year with 5 IPL franchises and the broadcaster. So yeah, I think it's the future is good. It's good for the tech.
Surya, I don't know whether you or Abhishek can take us into more detail, because I saw this video in BBC where Kumble was explaining how it works. So you have this unintrusive sort of chip at the back of the bat. Then you have a Bluetooth receptor behind the stumps, and then it's cabled onto a data center which analyzes, etc. Is that the second stage as well, or has there been more enhancements on it?
You've got to look at it from the perspective of who the end user is. So we've got the B2B use case, which is the broadcaster. Now, in a broadcast setting, you can't take a mobile phone into the field of play. Right, so the technology works on Bluetooth. So the sticker will transmit data using Bluetooth to the receiver. In a case where we're playing a weekend game in a park, you can have your phone next to your sticker and the data will transmit there. But in a broadcast setting, you can't have your device, so you need a little receiver which we put in the pit underneath the stumps, and then that's cabled out into the broadcast room. So that's always been part of the journey from the outset.
You just need like Abhishek said, ideally you just need the sticker and a receiver. The receiver can be anything. It can be a mobile phone or anything else, right? So like Abhishek mentioned, in a real match scenario, we might need a lot more reliable communication. So we have set up a detailed infrastructure in terms of how to get the data reliably to the broadcaster. Whereas in a consumer setup, it's more convenient to use a mobile phone.
And talk us about the collaboration with Microsoft. You launched PowerBat. We hear that it will complement video analysis in coaching, cricket bat sensor. Just explain to us a bit more about the application.
Yeah, Microsoft's been a technology partner right from the outset. Right, so we use the Azure cloud extensively to basically store our data and process whatever needs to be processed. So they've been a partner, with us right from the get-go. We've been using IoT Central and Azure and potentially now even the Azure Sphere. Right, so worked pretty closely with them from an engineering standpoint in the early days. In terms of the use cases, it's got the setup for broadcast. You've got the setup for an academy where you don't need the receiver. You can just use the coach can use their phone or an iPad or a tablet and basically get the analysis. Now we get a lot of the data. The other important facet to know is, you've got to be able to make sense of the data, because if you can't, then it's really it's no use, right? So you've got to be able to interpret it and represent it in a way where it makes a lot of sense. So if you look at the app, you get analysis after each session. You can go back, record the video of each shot, go back and play it ball by ball, or jump to a specific delivery that you want to, see if you got a low score in terms of your timing or your bat speed. You can go to a specific delivery and check that based on the video that you've recorded on the app. So you get automated reports. You're able to go back, have the ability to record video, check the entire session or specific areas within that session that you're interested in analyzing more. The idea is now, especially with COVID and with contactless, coaching sort of coming up, you should be able to analyze your game even if a coach is not necessarily present with you at that time.
So you mentioned about this being tried out in TNPL. Can you share us some more details around the outcome, how it was received, etc.?
So TNPL it was used as a trial in 2018 and then was shown live in 2019. We had 6 or 7 teams used it. So we had 5 top batters from each team, that was using the tech, put the sticker on their bat. Then they would go out. Obviously, we would get data for every delivery, but then it was shown for every boundary or a 6 that was hit. Again, you want to be careful with how much data you throw out for the viewer. You don't want to kind of flood them with too much information until they're used to the tech. And given that we were talking about power scores and power hitting, we were showing the power scores of each 4 and 6 that was hit. Right, so the power score is basically derived from a bunch of the batting parameters like bat speed and your timing and a few other parameters, and that combines to give you the power score. So we were showing the power score for the 4s and the 6s that were hit. It was received pretty well. Look, I mean, accuracy is fairly high. We're at more than 90% on the impact. And when I say that, it means it'll tell you precisely where on the bat has the ball made impact, and the accuracy numbers are more than 90%. For something like bat speed and launch angles, it's more than 95%. So the numbers are pretty good. The players liked it. I think the initial sort of apprehension, I would say, was you've never used it before. Is it going to be heavy? Is it going to affect the balance of the bat? But it's 10 grams. It's the bat's 1.2, 1.3 kgs. So once they hold it, they put it on the bat, they go out and play, and they don't even see it because it's on the back of the bat, and they get used to it. I think they're very comfortable with with using the tech.
And I get fascinated just by thinking what's a sweet spot now, considering nowadays the entire length and breadth of the bat may be a sweet spot. But yeah, fascinating information.
Yeah. You mentioned TNPL and IPL. Are you looking at bringing it to international cricket with the data governance and things like that? That's one aspect. And 2, are probably associate nations, I think, would be a great starting point, isn't it? Product like this. So are you thinking anything with USA Cricket or any other countries who are evolving in developing their infrastructure? What are the visionary thoughts there for the next 2 to 5 years?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, we are in touch with multiple cricket boards around the world. I think there's a lot of interest, especially after it was seen in the last IPL, even though it was not shown live. It was shown as a power hitting contest with 5 IPL franchises taking part in it. Right, so it piqued a lot of interest. So conversations are on. Look, for us, the holy grail is that it should be used in every match that's played. We'll start with internationals. Obviously, you've got the top cricket playing nations, but as you mentioned, it's a good point. We've got the associate nations as well that are up and coming and that are keen on sort of using tech into and incorporating technologies like these into their systems. So those conversations are going on. I can't divulge where we are, with each one of those specific boards. But the expectation is that obviously now with COVID, there's a lot of restriction in terms of we're very limited in terms of where we can go and start sort of explaining the tech and demonstrating it. But hopefully once this settles down, we'll see a pretty quick uptake of this technology across the world.
But is it going to be accessible for common people like Sanjay and me if we were to self-evaluate what needs to be done on our batting?
It'll certainly be accessible. Jokes apart, I think anybody will be able to go and pick it up and afford it.
Great. And then Surya, the article which was published on your website, you authored it. One of the analogy which you had used is, if I'm a dancer and I can superimpose myself on Michael Jackson Moon Dance and see how close or how far I was in video analysis. So give us some insights. How will that work?
Even like, let's say in the video analysis space, it was a quite challenging space to begin with, right? So when it all started, there was a lot of challenges that it faced, changing the status quo. And now we know the impact that it had created, right? The entire competitiveness of the game itself has enhanced miles in that space. And so we see a lot of players highly competitive, and the game itself has improved a lot. And we know that, right? And even for a coaching standpoint, I think even in a small academies today, you use a lot of these videos. One of the limitations with video technologies it is post the event, right? So it's the event occurred, and then you kind of go back and look at those. Where the sensor technologies come into picture is give you the is one which can give you the real time feedback. So you while you play the shot, you get immediately what kind of parameters that you're looking at. Video technologies are sometimes little expensive for normal users like maybe you and me and so forth. Maybe not you, but for me and other players who are gully cricketers, right? So in such cases, obviously you need a form of a real time feedback where you can go back or even at the moment the shot has been played, you can look at those and see where you stand with respect to a particular shot, and then you can also, like Sanjay mentioned, you can kind of benchmark yourself, your shot against, let's say, your peers or even the superstars or the stereo superstars of the game, right? So if they use the tech, you know how much, and if you see it on video, you know how much of bat speed is generated by those players and how much power they do, and then that comes as a benchmark for a normal player to kind of understand. Okay, maybe I am not in that league yet with my shot, and then I can go back and refine my shot to do things better.
One quick question I had for Abhishek. So is cricket the only sport you're looking at, or potentially this could maybe benefit into something like a tennis, or I don't know?
No, absolutely. As I said, there's a lot of other sports that could use this technology. And tennis, as you mentioned, has a lot of swing impact. So swing profiles and how you're swinging the ball. I think it's what speed you're hitting you're swinging your racket at. I think those are important sort of parameters. So yes, tennis is there. There's certainly a few other sports as well that would fit that bill. Obviously, the form factor would have to change depending on what sport we look at. But there are a few that are certainly being considered as part of what we do next.
Last but not least, where can users go and find more information? Is it website, Instagram? What do you recommend to our users or viewers who are watching? Where to find more info and explore?
Yeah, so obviously, website is a place where you can find a lot of information on what we do, and you can also register in the website, and we send periodical communications on the progress that we are making with the product. Like you said, like website is the main place, and also in terms of social channels, we are quite active in all the social media, primarily Instagram and Twitter, and even LinkedIn and Facebook as well. So you can go and check out a little more on what's happening with respect to how we try to engage with our community in terms of helping them understand how the product helps and so on.
Thanks, Abhishek and Surya, for sharing a lot of insights and time. Just before we wrap, one important thing, we want to use our platform and an opportunity just to call out. So if you're watching, wear a mask, sanitize yourselves, and thanks, Surya and Abhishek. Really appreciate your time. I think this is exciting period in the technology aspect of game of cricket. So we are going to be in touch, following your social channels to see how you evolve, and as the product gets more and more into the adoption mode, we will look to have you back to see what are the results looking like, and who knows, Sanjay and I may be better batsmen in a year's time if you look at your product. So we'll keep you posted how that journey goes.
Absolutely, yeah. Thanks for having us, and yeah, go ahead and pre-register for getting the sticker, because we will be launching this pretty soon into the consumer market as well.
That's great. Sanjay, thanks very much, and until next time we get another special guest, thank you. Stay safe. Thanks, Surya and Abhishek. Sanjay, see you later.
Thanks.